Okay, so this is how to use a Excel spreadsheet to make a graph. Just give you some basics here. This is the data I have. We did a lab on the speed of a can down a ramp, and so if let me go back to this actually. Erase this. Okay. So then. So what we're going to do here is we already have the data in, so we have the small can, medium can, and large can. We could put the measurements of the can, maybe the diameter would be helpful. Then we could see exactly what small, medium, and large means. We always want to be as descriptive as possible. And we could even say, like up here, we could say radius, and then we could put the numbers, whatever they are. Okay, and then we have time 1, so this must be the time down the ramp, time 2, time 3, and then you wouldn't even need to put time in there. I think average is good. Okay, and then we'll get rid of this row here. Move everything over. Okay, and then distance. This is the distance of the ramp, I'm assuming, and then tangential velocity. We'll get rid of this. Make it right next to each other. Okay, then if you want to make these wider, you just go between them, between where the letters are, and you double click on them. This must be something's going on here. Must be wrapped cell here. You don't necessarily need to do that. So if we go into it, alignment, maybe it says wrap. I'm trying to find. So we don't want to wrap text. We want to do that, and then we can make it whatever size we want. See if this one's wrapped. It is. Okay, so you don't necessarily need to wrap it. You can just undo that one and then make it the right size, and then this looks good. Okay, now whenever I make a data table, I always like to set it off from the rest of the page. So I might put a fill in here for this and use this little bucket. We'll go with orange, and then make this part a data table. You just highlight what you want to make the table out of, and then if you go up, see if I can find it up here. Sometimes I can. Don't see it. So you can just right click on it, format cells, and then you can go with border, choose this one that gets everything, and as thick as you want it, you choose the line, and then you got a data table, nice data table. And then you might want to also center these, so you can just go up and hit the centering part there. Okay, and then so this is kind of done here. Now I want to show you something. So this person here, they did time 1, time 2, time 3, and then they averaged it using a calculator. That's not necessarily, you don't necessarily need to do that. It's a little bit extra work. What you can do is use the cell and make it into, have it do the math for you. So you just have to put an equal sign in there, and then put the cells you want it to average. Or you could go up here and do an auto calculation. You click on this little down arrow. We're going to do an average, and then we're going to have to highlight what we want to average. Messed it up. Go back one more time. We're going to do an average. Then it highlights the 3 cells, so you know that's what you want to average. Okay, and then you just hit enter, and it gives it to you, 1.45. And you see the calculation right there. Then if we just drag, we go to the one that we've done and see the little square there. We put it so the crosshair is on it, then you drag it down, and it'll do the calculations for you. Okay, which is kind of cool. You don't have to do the math. And then the tangential velocity, we can do, we can say what the unit is, because we did distances in centimeters and time is in seconds. So we might want to put that in there. Centimeter per second, that's the unit. And we'll hit enter. It's not big enough again, so we just want to make it big enough. And then we could do the same thing with this. So we want to do the distance right here divided by the time. So we can get rid of these. Probably going to be the same. I think this person did the calculations using a calculator, but we're going to just have the program work for us. So you do equals. If you put that, it says I have to do a calculation. The program says to itself. So we'll do that equal, and then we want to do this one, and then we're going to divide it by this one. We hit enter. And then, okay, so we got a weird thing going on here. Let me make sure. This one has centimeters in it, so it can't have that. We'll have to go back. No letters in it or it'll mess it up. So if you wanted to do calculations using a cell, so then this one, look, it has a bunch of decimals. We can fix that. Highlight the cell, format cells, go to number, and then do 2 decimals. Okay. So then once we have that done, we can then just do the same thing we did last time. We get the crosshairs on it, we drag it down, and then we have the calculations. Okay. So now we can we have our nice data table and we can make a graph out of it. Okay, there's a couple of things we could do. We could just highlight the radius like this. I'll show you this. So you highlight it and you hold control, and then we want tangential velocity. And then we could go up and pick a graph or type of graph we want to do. You always want to go to Insert, and then you can choose which one. You can always look at it and see what it looks like. Like if I choose this one, it should show me the graph somewhere. Let's see. I think it should, maybe not. Used to do that. Would look something like that, I guess. Then if we go to this one, it kind of shows us what it would look like usually. Okay. Alright, so we'll get out of that. So this probably, if we did this, like some people just highlight the whole thing, you know, and then make a bar, right, like that. But that doesn't really tell us much. You see, like you get done with a graph, and it doesn't really tell you anything. It's a graph, and you know, maybe it looks nice, but so what we really want to do is we want to ask ourselves, what do we want to show on the graph? And what we really, for this one, is we want to show how does the radius affect the velocity. Okay, so if we set it up a little differently, because you think of a bar graph, you're going to have something down below and something going up. So we're going to kind of set it up that way. So we're going to go small, medium, and large. And then over here, this is going to be the velocity, tangential velocity. Okay, and we'll just make that bigger here. Kind of messes that up, but that's fine. And then, so then we put it in 56.55, 55.03, and then 55.03. Okay, so then we got that. So we kind of did our data, and now we have a new data table. So we could always do the same thing. We could make a different color here. Maybe you want to go yellow or something this time. Okay, and then we might want to do this one a different color just to make it look nice. Okay, and then we just want to probably put the lines here. This one kind of gives us a nice one. We can choose something different, like this and this. And then we'll do this one, same thing. So we highlight them. It's going to give us this. We're going to want something more. This and this. And you can kind of mess around with that. You can figure that out. So this is really what we want to graph, the tangential velocity for each of the 3 sizes. Now this should give us a nice graph, I'm thinking. Let's see. So let's go to Insert, and then it should give us a nice bar graph, I'm thinking. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it's going to do. So if we click on that, and we choose, yes, it'll show us the small. We probably want to change we'll show you in a minute. So this is probably maybe like the 3D one. That looks good. And then you might want to see, it looks like there's a big difference between this small, medium, and large, but there's really not. So we might want to make this a larger scale to show, because it's kind of tricking us into thinking it's showing us something that it's not, and I'll show you that in a minute. But we want to make sure we have axis titles, and then we want to make sure we have data labels. Okay, and we can move these around if we want. They can even be inside like this. And if you do that, you might want to make these blue, like change the font or change the color. I don't want red. Let's do one more time. I think white is a good color for this one. Oh, come on. This is always a trouble. That might be the best, yeah. And then if we go, wait. Sometimes it gives you trouble. So you kind of mess around with that. It's really, really similar to Word. Okay, so then you have that. That gives you the, but see, we need this axis title. This is radius. And then this one would be velocity. So then you would, we're not in it. So we put that in like that. Okay, so we got that. And then this, see, it's kind of misleading, 56.55, and it's not that different. So we might want to mess around with this. So if you go in here, that's good, okay. And we could even have a legend over there. Yeah, we don't need that. Okay, but we can click on this thing right here. Okay, and try to get this to format axis, and then it's going to be over here. Let's get rid of this thing. So one more time. So we go to format axis, and then we'll make it a little bigger. It starts at 54. Let's go 25. And it's going to go to 57. We hit enter. It's a little bit better, huh? Kind of shows us there's not really that much of a difference. Then they can always look at the numbers if they want. Kind of make them on the same level. Okay. And you can even label tangential velocity on a ramp. Give it a nice name. People look at this, they say the small radius had this tangential velocity, the medium radius had this, and the large had that. Okay, that's kind of a good deal. And we can also, if you right click on the chart itself, you can move the chart. And you probably want this to be a new sheet, so it'll be by itself. And then you go like that, and it's on its own page. Okay, and then we can even rename this, because it just says chart 1, but we could say can lab graph, enter. Then we go back to this. This is the can. We could rename this one can lab data. Nope. Okay. And then we know when we're looking at these, they have the proper label. We know what they are. And that's kind of how you do them. You just put that data in, mess around with it. Let me know if you need more help with that, and I'll be glad to show you other things. And hopefully that helps.